Yeah. So in this, yes, last class we discussed, right? We were discussing about how the tool looks like, and what are the details that is present in the tool. Okay, each tab, what does it offer to us? Okay. So we will start today with the Studio tab and the Process Studio. Okay. So as I mentioned last time, this happens to be the place where we have to design our solution, design our application, design our process, which is nothing but the automation that we're talking about. Okay. So if you see, there is a horizontal panel on the top and there is a vertical panel in on the left side of the tool. So when you talk about the horizontal panel, it is nothing but it gives you the accessory part of it. For example, how to save, how to print it, if you want to cut some details. Okay, if you're in Zoom, okay, all those details are there. Okay, and if you want to run a process, you have to run it from here. Okay, you can pause the process. Okay, and these things I'll explain. Okay, this is like you want to just run the normal way. If you don't want to see all the steps. Okay, so you just proceed directly to the last, that is called step over. And step out is like you just come out of the whatever is processed, you just come out of that. Okay, again you are in the new state of running it. Refresh, it is basically auto refresh, it is refresh. Okay, then this is a place if there is any errors, any warnings, or any advices, it would come over here. Okay, it would appear here. Flag is like if you have any breakpoints, if you've defined. Okay, and then you have if you want to view certain data, how does it behave, you can just put this particular symbol against it so that you can view the details. And these are all other details. Okay, so not the way it is there in your Word document. So these are some of the details. Okay, so coming to this left side panel, so we need to understand the left side panel thoroughly, then only we will be able to design the solution here. Okay. So coming to pointer, how do we use the left side panel? You have to click on it. Okay, and you have to drag it. Okay, drag it, and if you see the pointer helps you to align the things properly. The purpose of pointer is to align things. Okay, so that is why it is used. Coming to link is basically used to sorry, link the details. Okay, for example, link two boxes or two things that is given to us. Okay, then coming to block. Okay, so block is nothing but if I create a block, it basically, this block concept will be used significantly in the exception handling part. Right now, the block concept doesn't hold of much relevance for you guys. Once I start discussing on the, our this part, our exception handling, I would discuss on that. Okay, but as such now, block is just putting things in an aligned manner. For example, this is my one, this is another block. Okay, so this is, so if you don't put also, there is no difference. Okay, in case of normal things that are present over here, but block is very much important aspect when you talk about the exception part. Okay, so now coming to processes. Okay, so if you want to call multiple processes, okay, inside one process. Okay, suppose I have, this is one process, right? Demo process. If I want to call another process inside demo process, I can choose it here. I can give a name as calling process. Okay, and I can choose whichever process I want to call. Okay, so that is how I design a solution. Okay, for example, I'll go and check what is my process, or maybe I'll just give this one. Okay, so basically inside, okay, calling process. So if you see, if I open it again, one moment guys, please. Yeah, so you can see that I have called Excel test inside the calling process. So if you want to call one process inside another, you have to use this block. Okay, don't worry, I will explain you the practical purpose of each of them. Just now I'm giving an overview of these blocks. Okay, so now coming to page. Okay, page I'll explain after some time. Okay, so now this things whichever I'm telling, blog, page, I'll explain you guys in next class, because these are little complex. Okay, we need to understand other things. For example, decision stage. Okay, decision stage. So how do we define a decision? Suppose check if x is greater than y, for example. So you have to give a expression as x greater than y. Okay, then you have to, this is the expression page. Okay, so basically this is how I define a decision. So every time a decision is associated with two things, either yes or no. Okay, so how do I get to know whether where it is associated? See, it is associated with, decision is always a boolean value. Okay, it can either take a yes or it can take a no. That's why if you see here, I have given a decision stage. If add is greater than equal to 3, if it is yes, n. If it is no, also n. I have not performed any action, but based on the requirement, we'll perform actions in our subsequent examples. Okay. Now coming to calculation stage. Okay. So when I talk about the calculation stage, it also is similar to your validation stage. The only difference is that you have a stored in result here. Okay. Remember that a calculation always requires an output. This is the difference between your validation and calculation definition. If you do not give the stored in result, your calculation will throw an error. For example, x greater than y, x plus y, for example, and here. Okay, so I need to store the value right somewhere. If I don't store the value, I'll get an exception. Okay, if I do a refresh, okay, there's 7 errors. Okay, why? Because so many things I defined, I'm not using it. Okay, if you go to calculation stage, it says stage to store result is doesn't exist. Okay, invalid expression, missing link. Okay, why missing link? I have not connected to anything. These are not connected. Okay, second is whatever x and y I'm talking about, I have not defined x and y. Have I defined anywhere what is x, what is y? So it is not able to understand what is the value of x, what is the value of y it can add. Okay, second, third one is it is not able to understand where to store the value of x plus y. Okay, so always it is mandatory to give the stored in result. Okay? So if you open here, I have given constant plus initial value, I have stored in an add. Okay, so if you see here, I have defined data items. So first of all, let me explain what is data item. Okay, so this is data item. Okay, so in data item, you can give the name of the data item. You can choose a data type. What is text type, time type, okay, what is number type, flag type, okay, image type, whatever type it is. Okay, so you just, for example, it is number. You just give number, you can give an initial value, you can give the exposure level, all these things I'll explain. Okay, just try to understand how we define a data item. Okay, and give the current value and all those things. Okay, this is how different blocks are used. Okay, so before that, just a moment, I'll walk you through one PPT for Process Studio, and I'll run that particular process. Okay, then we will be able to understand. Once yes, I was not speaking yesterday. I'm just trying to a document. Okay, so today we are going to understand only the usage of calculation and validation. Okay, and the data items. Okay, in subsequent classes I'll explain. I'll do an example with process, I'll do an example with pages, I'll do examples with multi-calculation, I'll do example with collections, I'll do example with loop, everything we'll do. Okay. So one more thing I want to tell guys, in a process, there can be only one stat and there can be multiple ends. Okay. So you will have only one start, but you will have multiple ends that is possible. Okay, remember this. So if they have given you a process or a flow diagram with multiple start, that means the flow diagram is incorrect. Okay, so in your accreditation exam, you'll not get direct questions like whether a process can have multiple start or end. Rather, they would have given two or three small processes like this, in which one of the processes will have multiple start buttons. Okay, so they'll ask which of the processes created correctly, and you have to choose or created incorrectly. So in that case, you go ahead and choose one which has multiple start. Okay, and let me open the document. One. Okay, so meanwhile, by the time it opens, we'll understand the process that we designed. Okay, since these are the blocks and other things which were not used, so I am just going to delete them so that we'll understand now what are the what are the details of it. Okay, and then we will understand the flow diagram that we have created. Okay, so if you see here, I have defined three data items. I've given the name as one as initial value. Okay, and I've given the data type as number. I've given the initial value as one. Exposure level are three things. Okay, one is static exposure. Okay, one is environment, one is session. Okay, okay, so if you want to expose the data to the control room, then you call it as a session level exposure. Okay, how to do it and other things I'll show you. Okay, don't worry about it. Environment, reading the corresponding environmental variable from system manager. Okay, so this exposure level I'll tell you once we learn a little more advanced topics. Okay, because you don't know what is environmental variable, you don't know how do we reflect our data in the control room right now. Okay, static is store the content of this data in the database for the reporting purpose. Okay, so these are the three levels. If I want to store it for reporting purpose, I can go ahead and do it. So how to do it, I'll show you. Okay, so this is, just remember that we will cover the exposure after some time. Once we have learned all the modules, then we will learn this. Okay, so right now exposure level I have not given anything. Okay, when you don't give anything, by default it gets stored in the database. Okay, so the current value is something we are not giving it, because maybe we will calculate and then we will get the data. Okay, then coming to visibility. Okay, so visibility is hide the data from other pages in the process. So suppose you want to, you know, right, private variable, public variable. So public is something you can view this data across pages, that is called public variable. Okay, but if it is private, you don't want to hide, you will hide it. Okay, so that it is not visible to anyone. Okay, so that is why this visibility they are given. Initialization, so every time you use the process, this particular variable in the process, once the process is run, once it is restarted, refreshed to the fresh state again, then you will go ahead and initialize. Okay, so if you want to reset it to the initial values every time you run, then you have to go ahead and click on this. Okay, so now what is this block? Okay, so whatever data type you have chosen, it gives you the just an overview of that particular data type here over here. Okay, so now here it has given the data type details. Okay, so so similarly I have defined three variable. One is constant. Okay, all of them have initial value as and add also has an initial value of 1. Okay, so now I have created a process which is starting. Let me just put it this way. It will be better for you guys to understand. Okay, so this is a start place. This is my calculation. I'm doing constant plus initialization, and I'm storing the add. How do I drag the add here? I'm simply dragging it from here. Okay, and the particular variable is created. Okay, and now then I have the validation. If add is greater than equal to 3, if it is yes, end the process. If it is no, also end the process. So let us run this process and see how does it work. Okay, you can see that add became true. Okay, so add is not greater than 3 according to validation, so it took no page. Okay, so now if I refresh it, you can see that the add value became 1 because it is initialized to the previous variable. Okay, so that is how it is working. Okay, one moment guys. Okay, yeah. So guys, this was the detail. This is the detail how we saw a small process. Okay, so we understood how to define a data item, how to define a calculation stage, how to define a validation. Okay, validation logic. Okay, we understood how does it work, and we understood what is end, how many ends we can drag and use. Okay, what is the purpose of link and what is the purpose of the pointer. Okay, so these many blocks are clear to us. Okay, so now we are going to understand a little further. Okay, so when I say, if you see, there is calculation, there is multi-calculation, there is data item, there is collection. So if you see the symbol, it is just a stacked form of the other one. Okay, so if it is calculation is one block, multi-calculation is stacked from. Okay, if data item is one piece of rhombus, it is stacked rhombus for the collection. Okay, if decision is just one one this particular symbol rhombus, then it is choice is a stacked rhombus. So basically these are all interrelated to each other. When you have more data to process, you'll go for the other one option. Okay, so now let us see what is collection. Okay, so how do I define a collection? Suppose this is demo collection. Okay, after that you add field. Okay, for example, when you'll go for collection, okay, you assume that you have address consists of your name, consists of your street, consists of your pin code, consists of your exact phone number, and all those information. Okay, so basically address is collection of lot of independent variables or data items. So when I talk about your name can be a data item. When I talk about your phone number can be a data item. When I talk about your street or your apartment name, that is also again an independent data item. So when we have more than one data item together, we term as a collection and we create a collection there. Okay. So now when I add a field, I'll click on here to add. Suppose I created name. Okay. Name is of type text. Then I added one more variable like apartment details. Okay, add. Then I give pin code. Okay, okay. Here I forgot to define. Apartment name is text type. Pin code is number. Okay, so now I have defined. So if I go to the initial variable, if I add, I can give the name as ABC. Apartment detail is X. Pin code is 123. I can add one more variable, one more value, DEF Y 4456. Sorry, you know, 456. Okay. I can add one more variable, EFG whatever. Okay. Then you can just put it as Z or whatever, and then you can make it. So this is how I define a collection. So it has three rows, and each row has three columns. One is name, apartment details, and pin. So if I go here, I have the names, I have the apartment details, I have the pin defined. Okay, so this is how I define a collection. Okay, so it again gives you the option if you want to reset to the initial value whenever the page runs. Yes, hide from other pages. Okay, okay. So if you want to make it single row, you'll just create only one row. So I have multiple data to put. I have created for multiple rows. Okay, so this is how I define a collection. Okay, so guys, is it clear until now? The things. Then probably I'll proceed and explain some other functionalities.
Pinky, Ganesh here.
Yeah, please proceed.
The collection, I mean, the object which has the values, like you
Mm-hmm.
have hard coded here, right? Some values.
Yes, yes,
So in some object, if they are getting more than, for example, 100 values, 200 values, in that case, how can we hard code that? How can we
that's
read
fine.
that?
Okay, so in that case, we will not hard code it. Okay, that is the next example. I have not shown you any example of collection till now. Okay, so I'll show you how to read data from a collection when you have hard coded the details. When you have lots of records, you cannot keep on adding, right? You may have to import it from some other features like externally. If you have Excel sheet which has all the data or a table which has all the data, you want to read it from there. We can also do it from there. Okay, you will read from the external source. You'll put all the detail directly to collection. You don't have to write it anytime. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, so I'll show you that option also. Just since we started off, I have not given you that example. I'll show you that detail as well.
Yeah, in that diagram, that validation, that is of decision, right?
Yes,
Decision
yes,
type, right? Yeah.
decision. Yes, correct. I have renamed it. Yeah,
Yeah, can you open the diagram so that I will explain.
yeah. I just opened. Yeah, you have a look.
Yeah, in that I can see in the bottom left, I can see some functions
That I will
like
explain. Yeah, I'll show you how to create expression using functions also. Since today it is the first, I mean, we have started learning, I have not gone there. Okay, I'll show you how to use expressions, how to create, the expressions. I have not gone there. I'll be going
and
there.
in the
So,
right side also we have the same things like binaries, collections, pairs. These are
these
the
ones, right?
inputs. The right ones are the inputs are the out. How
Inputs.
can we
These are
define like
inputs.
yeah, these are
These are
inputs.
inputs. Yeah. See, how I created is, I just drag the add here. Okay. Then I put a logic. Okay. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So don't worry. This thing, how to read data into collection, if I cannot create, I don't want to hard code. I want to read
So in
from
this case,
somewhere.
if add greater than 3, I have to perform some action. Okay. If add less than 3, I have to perform some more action. So in that
Yes.
case, again, I have to take the output of the file as an input, right? The next step,
Yes.
if I do something in the next
Yes.
step,
Yes. You have to perform necessary action based on the decision you will take. Since it just I showed you a demo one. Okay, how does it run? Okay, that's why I have not put it more complex. Okay, just hard code it. Okay, we will see how to take a decision based on collection, how to read a static collection, how to read a dynamic collection, how to create a expression using the functions which are given here. Okay, all those things I'll explain you with examples. Okay, so just and today, since you're not familiarized with these blocks much, I'm just trying to create and show you. Okay, a smaller ones, because tomorrow I go with loop concept, Tomorrow I go with collection, multi-calculation stages, pages and actions. So you should be confident, with the smaller blocks, but because these would be the, building block for the other ones. Okay, that's why I have not yet gone much complex. Okay, I'll be going
Okay. Yeah.
tomorrow in the intricate details of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm just trying to open that PPT so that we, whatever I was telling about Process Studio, we'll just have a whatever we had just gone through smaller blocks today. We just need to understand that. Then I'll go ahead and explain other blocks as well.
Pinky, can you please run that collection? How can we run? What was how the values will iterate? Can we see that collection in
Yes,
process?
you see, that's what. So to run a collection, we need to run the loop because see, when I talk about reading a data which is there in a table format, when you have more than one rows, okay, you need to go through first row, then come to the second row, then come to the third row. So basically, you need the concept of loop. Okay, since I've not explained the concept of loop to you guys. That's why I'm not running this one. Okay. Once I explain you the concept of loop, I'll create a process. We'll run the collection. We'll see how the data is coming from first row and why how it is going to second row, how it is going to third row, how it is traversing through the all the rows that are present in the collection. Is it fine, Ganesh?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. One moment here. Somehow the PPT is not opening. Otherwise, I could have shown you guys. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll
Thinking
open.
I did not got your PPTs yet on Friday, Thursday.
Okay, let me send you guys. Okay, see, I just opened one collection example. Okay, so you'll not be able to understand now the collection example. See, I've given a lot of loop concept I've used so many things. Okay, I've used page concept. I've used note concept. Okay, so I want to explain you guys those things first. Then I'll go through the collection. Okay, whatever collection we have created, I can go through that. Okay, so basically I have not gone there till now because I'm not I'm 100% sure that you guys to know the smaller chunks. Basically you have to understand this loop concept. How does a loop work? So see, when I drag a loop, you get two parts to it. One is loop start, one is loop end. Okay, so how do I define the loop start and loop end? What details have to go inside them? So these things we need to understand, then only we would be in a position to run the collection and see the details. Okay, so uh, yeah, I'm able to see my screen.
No, Pinky.
Okay.